Good evening, everybody. Alright, so you guys should be watching this, and it should be Wednesday night. You guys should be preparing for your class on Thursday. A couple more days before I get back. So the first night, this last weekend, we covered one-step equations and just giving the your reasoning behind every step that you complete and how you're able to do that. And then last night, you guys did two-step equations. Tonight we're going to go to some multi-step equations, which are significantly more difficult, but same idea with each one though. So again, we have our solving properties here. Tonight you're going to actually be seeing some distributive property. You will also be seeing the like terms. You need to know what the definition for like terms are. So I want this definition written down in your notes. Like terms are any term that has the same variable with the same exponent, okay? So x squared, and then another term has 4x squared. Those are like terms because they have the same variable x and the same exponent square with that variable. So we're gonna do something called combining like terms when that happens. Tonight there's only gonna be two examples, and again, the entire time I'm gone, guys, I apologize. I do not have my pen, so I'm going to be writing with the mouse, and it does make it fairly difficult to do. So just bear with me when we're doing this. So we have the problem 2 times the quantity x plus 4 equals -7. And again, what we start with is what we call our given. And when we do the given, now I'm going to be doing the distributive property, so that becomes 2x plus. When I distribute something, it's with multiplication outside, and when I distribute, that 2 goes to everything inside. So 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 4 is going to be 8 equals -7. And again, that was the distributive property, so I'm going to abbreviate. And that was our distributive property. And then from here, now this problem actually looks very similar to what we had before. So I'm going to subtract 8 to both sides here. And that allowing me to subtract 8 to both sides is my addition property of equality. And that's going to be this step here. So from here, I get 2x. The plus 8 and the minus 8 are going to give me plus 0. Let me actually see if I can redo that plus sign there. And that is going to be, I'm adding -7 and -8, which is going to be -15. And what allowed me to do that was the additive inverses. Okay, because the inverse of 8 is -8, which means that when I add the two together, I get 0. From here, 2x becomes 2x plus 0 becomes 2x equals -15. And again, let's put our property up there. This time it is the additive identity. And now from here we're going to have to divide by 2. And dividing by 2 is the multiplication property of equality. And then from here, this becomes 1 times x equals -15 over 2. And that will be the multiplicative inverse. And that goes there. And then the last step then becomes x equals 1 times x is just x, and that is -15 over 2. And that is actually going to be our answer. So I'm going to box that in. And the reason behind that last step then is going to be the multiplicative identity. And I'm going to go ahead and put that one right there. Okay, and that gives me my answer of x equals negative 15 over 2. Let's go to example number 2. Let's go to example number 2 now. And with example number 2, you can see that this one's going to be a little bit longer. It's going to require a little bit more, a few more steps, a little bit more work. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start by, you're going to want to distribute. We want to simplify the left side. We see that we have a variable over here and a variable over here. So we want to simplify both sides as much as we can first. So that's going to be negative 6x minus negative 6 times 7 is going to be negative or minus 42 equals 13 plus 5x. And that was the distributive property. And then we go to the next step. So now everything is simplified. So now I want to move my 5x to this other side. I want to put my variable on the left side. So I'm going to move 5x over to the left. So in order to do that, you're going to use the same idea that we did before, which is the additive property of equality. Okay, and then from here, this is going to give you 0. And now you're going to add, just like we did before, we're going to add the negative 6x and the negative 5x, which gives me negative 11x minus 42 equals 13 plus 0. And that will be our additive inverses. The additive inverse property, which goes there. From here, we're going to do negative 11x minus 42 equals, and this is 13, and that's going to be our additive identity. And now you have a problem similar to what we had before, so now I'm going to add 42 to both sides. Okay, and that will be our additive property of equality, which goes here. These will give me 0, so I get negative 11x plus 0 equals 42, and 13 is going to be 55. And that is the additive inverse. And this is negative 11x equals 55, which is our additive identity. Now we're going to divide by negative 11. I get 1x equals negative 5. And I'm actually going to go ahead and do the last step, because this will be x equals negative 5. I'm going to go ahead and box in the answer right now. There's the boxed in answer. And I'll go ahead and type both my properties here. So you have the multiplication property of equality. Let me actually make that longer. So that goes there. And then you have the multiplication or multiplicative inverse, which is going to go to here. And then the last one is the multiplicative identity. And that goes at the very bottom right there. And that completes our solving of the equation. You get x equals -5. And you notice that on these ones, they're longer, so there's a lot more steps that you have to justify. But it's using the exact same properties that we've been using in the first 2 days of practicing this, this material. Tomorrow we're going to be having a worksheet covering solving multi-step equations. And that'll be Thursday. Thursday night there will not be any notes. And then Friday you guys will be doing a group activity doing multi-step equations. And then there will be notes over the weekend. And then I will be back on Tuesday. So I will see you guys in just a few days. Alright, have a great night.